The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for participating in tonight's webinar. Tonight we have as a speaker Chris Johnson. He'll discuss how lifestyle health coaching can change the dial on the unhealthy state of our country. You will learn how to build a sustainable business while helping people live the life they've always wanted. Chris Johnson is a nationally recognized speaker and author with over 16,000 hours of one-on-one personal training experience. He provides lifestyle modification strategies with integrity and compassion. As the Director of Health, Wellness, and Fitness at Sparrows Health Systems Michigan Athletic Club for over 15 years, he pioneered one of the most successful personal training programs in the country. He holds an MA in exercise physiology from Michigan State University and certifications from the American College of Sports Medicine, National Academy of Sports Medicine, and the American Council on Exercise. Audience, if at any point during the webinar you have questions, please put them in the question box located at the right-hand side of the GoToWebinar control panel. Chris will address all questions at the end. Now I'd like to turn over the presentation to Chris Johnson to begin with the webinar.
Thank you much, and welcome everybody this evening. I am in Michigan, and it's a beautiful sunny evening. I was just talking to Sarah, and it's about, I think, pretty stormy in Florida, but I'm in Michigan, and it's about 75 and sunny. Anyway, I'd like to welcome everybody tonight for the Lifestyle Health Coaching certification coming up on July 20th through 22nd. And basically, I'll do a short introduction on myself. I've been in the fitness industry for over 30 years. I'll be 55 years old in the fall. I've been married 30 years. I have 26-year-old boy and girl twins. And for like many of you out there, have a passion for health and fitness. And basically, I have a company called On Target Living. And On Target Living, if you check out our website this evening, On Target Living basically is a wellness company that basically helps companies and organizations get healthier and perform at a high level. And most of my business is in the financial services arena, like Merrill Lynch, Nationwide, and things like that. I do about 70 speaking events a year, travel all over the world, and then we also have health and fitness coaches. We do private retreats, and then we also do a 3-day retreat. So there's lots of things we're going on. And then, you know, one of the things Sarah was asking me tonight, how did you get involved with Dr. Smith? And basically, I was doing a presentation in Tennessee, and she was in the audience, and we kind of hooked up, and that's kind of how we started. So, but the real thing I want to talk about tonight really is about this health and a lifestyle health coaching program, and really how a lot of people really are passionate about the business, but they're really having a hard time making that leap, or how do they go about doing that. And I was at the Michigan Athletic Club, which is a very large health club in Michigan. I started there in December of 1990 and was working there for almost 17 years as director of fitness. And we pioneered one of the first $1 million training programs in the middle 90s, and for 7 consecutive years we did over $1 million in personal training. So that's kind of how I got my launch, and then I eventually opened my own company and went out on my own. So for many of you tonight that are interested in developing their own business, we'll talk about that as we go tonight. As we move forward here, you can kind of see I worked for Frito-Lay for 6.5 years when I was in graduate school, worked 1.5 years for Butternut Bread. So prior to coming into the fitness arena, I had a business degree, economics minor, and I spent about 8 years in the grocery store. I'm kind of dabbling bodybuilding. I've done over 10 bodybuilding contests. We've done multiple exercise DVDs. I've written a handful of books, and predominantly I speak around the country, like I mentioned earlier. So that's who this guy is. And then if we look into the business of lifestyle health coaching, I'm a real fan of Paul Pilzer and the Wellness Revolution. One of the things I heard Paul talk about years ago, and then I heard about Jim Collins, and I started looking at whatever Paul Pilsner was talking about is where we're moving in the wellness revolution. But then I started looking at Jim Collins, and one of the things Jim Collins talks about in Good to Great is the 3 circles. And this is what I talk to all of my future hirees about, is many people come in this business with lots of passion. They love exercise, they want to eat better, all the stuff that goes with that, rest and rejuvenation. And then the second question I asked them, can they make a living doing this, which is the economic engine. And I think that's where people start to fall apart. They really want to do this. It's a passion. They want to maybe get into it, but they really don't know how to make a living doing it. And the third piece is, can you really be good at what you're doing? You know, I always use the analogy of, I love golf. It's a great passion of mine, but I sure as heck can't make a living at it, and I'm not obviously going to be the best in the world. So that would just be a hobby. It wouldn't really be a lifestyle. And the other thing I look at, too, from people as I get a little older is many people take a job at the beginning. I took a job as working as a driver for butternut bread and a driver for Frito-Lay. But eventually, most people want to go into a career, and then really what's really cool in life is when you can find your calling. And I think many people coming in this business, that's what they're looking for now. They want to not only make a living, but they want to move into their calling. But that's the three circles I'll be talking about in detail, because if you don't have the three circles, you're probably not going to be very successful. And so that's the challenge out there. I see so many people come into this business, and they don't stay very long because they can't make a living doing it. And we'll talk about that tonight. And then we talk about the healthcare crisis. I'll get into this a lot. I'll tee it up about this. You know, this is old fast food, and one of the things I say in my seminars, if the food doesn't rot, you probably shouldn't eat the food. And I think it's pretty crystal clear in that. But we really do have a crisis right now in the United States. When you think about the presidential election coming up, you're going to have a lot of talk about, you know, what's going on in healthcare. But I think when we're talking about lifestyle health coaching, we're really looking at, you know, prevention's the only thing that works. We can continue going down this path. In the year 2000, we spent $1.2 trillion on healthcare, and today we're over $2.5 trillion. So we really doubled basically in the last 10 years healthcare costs, and it's going to continue to go, as we know that you can't fight something after the battles happen. So we are in a major healthcare crisis in the United States. And the real culprit really is obesity. And it's not just a United States issue anymore. It's a global issue. I spoke in Mexico 3 times the last year. They're right behind the United States in type 2 diabetes, and one of the reasons they brought me in is that they're really struggling with how do they get you know, their society along with ours moving in a better direction. So this is obesity in 1972. There is none. The entire nation is less than 10% obesity, which is green in nature. And you start looking at it, you know, every state across the country really doesn't have a problem here. And then I really like to explain the genetic footprint, because your genetics have not changed in the last 40 years. So if you look at where we were in 1972 to where we are today, and then into the future in the next 10 years, in the next 10 years we're predicting over 40% obesity. So the real problem out there right now is obesity. And the real culprit is we basically live in a toxic food environment. And that's what lifestyle health coaching is going to be all about, is teaching people how to maneuver through that environment. We lack movement. We have a boatload of diets out there, and we have pretty crummy, inconsistent information. So I think that's what people are going to look to the coaches in the future of, how do we, you know, stop this plan, and how do we get moving in the right direction. But the real culprit is obesity, and it continues to grow. And along with that, we move into this thing called medications. And if you looked at this T-shirt, this is what I see in my profession. You know, back in the day when we first started doing personal training in the early 90s, it was all about body alignment and exercise and eating healthier and rest and rejuvenation. But today it's really a mantra of medications and the leaching effects of medications, and really how one medication goes into another. And so this is what I'll definitely be addressing in this 3-day certification, is all the medications, what do they leach out of the body, and then really how do you peel the onion back and get people slowly to wean themselves off? How do they talk to their physicians? So this will be a big part of it. But medications is really what I see in my profession right now, and I think that's where I've created a lot of traction in my speaking events, because I really talk about this in detail, and then when people start making these adjustments, they start seeing some major changes, and then you know, many of them are getting off their medications, working with their physicians and their health practitioners, and everybody starts to be a little happier. And this is the medicine cabinet of today. The thing I talk about medications, I tell everybody I'm not their physician, but what I do challenge them is to ask a better question. If you have high cholesterol, you got to start asking the question, why do I have high cholesterol? Or if I have acid reflux or blood pressure, asthma, or type 2 diabetes, think about type 2 diabetes for a second. In 1970, we had less than 500,000 type 2 diabetics. And then today we have over 20 million. And we have anywhere between 30 and 40 million pre-diabetics. So the real challenges out there is how do you get people to start stepping back and asking those better questions. If you had a plant that was wilting on the side of the road, you know, everybody kind of gets what they would do. You know, you give it some water, you pay attention to the soil, give it some sunlight. But in our society, if you have a high cholesterol, and the thing I'll explain a lot in the 3-day event is what do these things do, and what is cholesterol? Cholesterol is the backbone of hormones, and if you block cholesterol, you'll block the production of a coenzyme Q10, which is the most powerful antioxidant in the human body. And then you block cholesterol itself, which is the backbone of hormones, which leads into DHEA and into estradiol, estrogen, growth hormone, testosterone. So again, many times if people are on a cholesterol-lowering medication, I'm getting an email of erectile dysfunction, problems with sleep, low testosterone. Should I be on a synthetic, you know, hormone replacement? So this is stuff I think the future coaches definitely have to learn and how to address that, and then communicate to their clients on what questions to ask. You know, if somebody has a headache, you know, they don't have an ibuprofen deficiency, but again, the first thing most people reach for when they do have a headache is ibuprofen. So this will be a big topic that will be addressed in a good portion of the second day leading into the third day, is about the common medications, how they work, what are the side effects, and then strategies and steps to get people slowly to wean themselves off their medication. In my 20-some years of speaking, I've never had anybody not get off their statin medications or their cholesterol medications. So it's very possible if you get people to do it in the right steps, and obviously be very safe about this. But this will be a big topic we'll be discussing. And if you have questions tonight, feel free to, you know, shoot those, and we'll have some time later at the end of this event. And then this is the future. And as simple as it sounds, people ask me all the time, hey, Chris, you're going to be 55 years old. What supplements do you take? Well, I really don't take traditional multivitamins. Not saying you couldn't or you shouldn't, but the thing I want to start with is basically whole foods. And the oldest food, the 3 oldest foods on the planet is microalgae, which is spirulina chlorella. Microalgae is a nutrient that's high in nucleic acid. It's a builder. It's a natural detoxifier, high in chlorophyll, and it's so simple to take. And I have people take it in a tablet form because it doesn't taste great, but it's an easy thing to do, and it's very inexpensive. You can basically buy spirulina chlorella for about 1,000 tablets for $30. Very inexpensive and very effective. So it's a big immune booster. So people are trying not to get sick, or they have cancer, or whatever it might be. It helps them to stay healthy and in general. And the other one I talk quite a bit about is wheatgrass. In my opinion, wheatgrass is the #1 superfood on the planet. It's the highest source of minerals, over 90 minerals. You can take it in a tablet form. We recommend it in ice cube form, but it's an easy way to get those minerals in your diet that people are trying to get from calcium or magnesium or iodine. So it's an easy whole food source. And then the other 2 I talk about is cod liver oil, your omega-3s, flax seeds, or chia seeds. And not only will we talk about these and explain them and how to do them and where to get them and, you know, how they affect your clients, but you'll actually get to experience it. You'll actually get to try the cod liver oil, the flax seeds, how you take them, how you experiment with them, the wheatgrass, the spirulina chlorella. So you'll be able to experiment actually trying these, and there's nothing better than people actually experiencing it. So as part of a lifestyle health coach, and what we do in our practice, in our offices, we have these products right here. So when we have a client come in, we not only talk about it, but we let them give a shot of cod liver oil, or maybe some flaxseed ground up with some pomegranate juice. But people need to experience this to see where they're going. And if they are in some type of vitamin, we talk about how you make sure you're doing a whole food vitamin versus synthetic. So we'll spend quite a bit of time about your supplementation and what are the basics you want to start with. Now what you're finding more and more as we're aging, you got 2 different directions. You got people going in one direction, and you got people going in another. And when you talk about aging, I'm not a real fan of the anti-aging word. I know everybody uses it. I'm interested in aging well, and I have many clients in their 80s and 90s over the years that are really moving in that direction. So you're seeing the boomers really, really wanting to be fit and healthy, and that is a decision. And when the decisions they make now early in their lives or even later in their lives really makes a difference. So I'm a real fan about at any age you can make some huge differences. And then this is what you're seeing right now. I mean, take a look at some of these people right here. I mean, the gal doing the yoga, she has a whole leg. Her leg is just bent, so it looks like she has a partial leg. And if you look at the personal trainer or the guys playing basketball or the runner, I think this is the future, and I think that's why lifestyle health coaching is going to be such a huge change over time and such a huge demand, because people want to have this vitality as they age. And you can kind of see I'm throwing the numbers at you right now. That yoga instructor, I want to be her. She's amazing. So, and the marathon runner, the guy, look at him, 100 years old. So anyway, this is where the future's coming. Now, one of the things I do in all of my events is start out with a belief system. And if you really think about what people actually believe in, you know, the key is this is a thing you will do first session. And then what we'll do in this lifestyle health coaching program, we'll actually take you through this step by step. One of the things we had a meeting with our team today, and one of the people in our office was saying, you know, this lifestyle health coaching, just walk me through what do you do the first session. And really what we do is a discovery session. You really have to find out what people believe in. If they believe fat makes them fat, carbohydrates make them fat, more cardiovascular exercise helps them lose weight, the list goes on, they might be following that action and they're not getting the result they want. And then eventually over time people quit because they don't get that result. So the key for being a really good coach is you got to really jump into people's beliefs, understand where they're coming from, and then slowly help them develop the action where they get that amazing result. And then everybody's going to talk about it. So we're going to talk about customer service later on. But the real key is once you get results with people, your business will go through the roof. And I think that's what I've seen in my business in the last handful of years. Not only my speaking business, but also just our business overall, our website growth, just everything about us, because people are getting great results. And if you think about belief system, one of the things we talk about in our seminars is cod liver oil. I'll ask the audience, how many of you ever, how many of you think cod liver oil tastes bad? Raise your hand. And all the arms go up. And then I said, how many of you believe cod liver oil tastes bad and you've never had it before? And that might be a limiting belief. So the key is you have to go into those beliefs, let people experience them, take that action, get that result. And this is the first belief I challenge everybody on, because everything begins at the cellular level. Most diets out there are talking about, how many calories should you be ingesting? Well, I have no idea what type of quality those calories are. So again, it makes a difference to the cell. So again, calorie does not equal a calorie, and this is the reason why. Many people come to see it, will come to see you, come to see me about type 2 diabetes. You have to educate about the cell membrane and how it needs to be soft, to the mitochondria, which is the power pack of the cell, and what nutrients need to be fed to make that cell amazingly healthy. And one of the nutrients that I really get into is the healthy fats, your omega-3 fats, which make the cells soft and the mitochondria active. And the other concept I like to explain to everybody is this thing called pH balance. In our society, we live on the acid side. We have a lot of stress in our lives. We lack sleep. We eat tons of processed foods. Energy drinks are going through the roof. Coffee, caffeine, alcohol, the list goes on. It makes the body very acidic. So we'll spend a great deal on this whole pH thing and help people understand the body's too acidic. You're going to leach out minerals, and those valuable minerals buffer that pH back, and generally that's why we have the highest intake of calcium on the planet and some of the worst bone health or thyroid problems with our men and women, and the list goes on and on. So the key is, how do you create that balanced pH, educate your clients, and once they understand this concept, it's amazing how healthy people become. This will be what we'll be discussing in day 2 and in day 3, is your body's always talking to you, but most people aren't listening. Most people understand, they get a blood work once a year, or maybe they get a physical, but believe it or not, the eyes are telling you 3, 4, 5 years out that you're going to have type 2 diabetes, what digestion looks like, elimination, and we'll go through this in very, very detail so you can really understand how to really sit down with people and help them really find out. Most people really don't have a clue. They don't pay attention to it because they're really not in their bodies anymore. Many people have gotten out of their bodies. And one of the things you'll learn in this 3-day event will really step back and what are you measuring and really what are you paying attention to, and it's not just blood work anymore. But we will spend time doing blood work, which is know your numbers. If you look down here, most people have no clue what homocysteine is, which measures oxidation, or highly sensitive C-reactive protein, which measures inflammation. But many people are put on cholesterol-lowering medications without even having these tests. So one of the things we'll discuss and what are the tests that most people need to get. And the other one is total testosterone for both men and women both. I think it's a real big marker. When I see a person that has issues with their sleep or maybe erectile dysfunction or the list goes on, the first question I'll ask them is get their testosterone level, and then I find out they're on a cholesterol medication that lowers their testosterone, the list goes on. So we will definitely be addressing know your numbers in more detail in day 2 and day 3. Now, if you ask me what's the hierarchy of needs here, the first one would be obviously breathing. So we have spent a great deal of time teaching you not only the science behind changing breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, breath awareness, meditation, all the things that go with the rest of rejuvenation, but we'll actually show you how to do it, how to teach it. We'll get into sleep, hydration, nutrition, posture, exercise. And most people, when they come into the exercise arena or the personal training arena, they spend a lot of time exercising or paying attention to it. In reality, they need to step back and kind of build this foundation. So this will be the foundation we'll be building off of. And these are just going to be more detail in each of the areas I cover, which is rest and rejuvenation. You can see by the building the pyramid here, we'll start with diaphragmatic breathing, understand sleep, white space, and we'll just keep moving up. But more and more people, I find that if their stress levels are high, they're not sleeping, their hormones are going to be out of whack, their health is going to be bad, and they're not even paying attention to this part of the equation. So I think this is what makes this certification unique, is we'll be jumping into this full steam, and that will be basically on day 2. Nutrition will be day 1. We'll spend a lot of time on understanding. I'll be using the food target. You can come to my website, which is just called ontargetliving.com, which is up in the left-hand corner. But we're really going into this. Most people have really specific needs, which is the very top. But if you take basically these 6 principles underneath that, most of the things on top go away. And we can get in real specifics. We can talk about comfrey or slippery elm or coenzyme Q10, but most of those things start to go away if you're doing the first 6. And then we'll definitely spend a lot of time on hands-on exercise, body alignment. I think one of the things my claim to fame is working with people's body and the exercise and how do you create that body alignment. I will show you a foundation routine that takes 5 to 8 minutes. We'll show you how to analyze body alignment, Q angles, body imbalances, and then how do you correct those. We'll spend a lot of time using the foam roller, and different exercises and stretches will help create that balance. So that will be all hands-on. We talk about a little bit about theory, but you'll be walking away with the actual hands-on, showing you how to do it, and then a plan that you can implement with your clients. And I can't leave you without having understanding change, because the key is, I say this in every one of my seminars, information does not create transformation. You need to touch people what really is going to move them. I spend a lot of time finding your why, your emotional connection for change. I'm a real believer of small steps. That's a mantra of our company. How do you develop habits? How do you have energy activation? We'll teach you how to step back, challenge your clients in a really healthy way, but also, and again, in a way that they can do this for the rest of their life. And I think that's the challenge out there. We all know change is hard, but very rarely do people give action plans to create change, and you'll get that action plan by following this program, which you'll see right here. And then the last piece is we're going to get into the business aspect, because that's really where I shine. I can show people actually how to make a living doing this. You know, we were talking about marketing this program earlier. Well, what if you thought or really truly believe you could make $100,000 or more being a lifestyle health coach? I really believe that's possible out there. Our business right now is over $1 million business, and I started this business in 2008, and predominantly it's mostly speaking and online sales, but predominantly speaking, and nobody would ever have told me that as a speaker I'd be, charging 10 grand a talk, and that's what I've seen with the coaches right now. Can a coach easily charge $100 an hour? Absolutely. It's all about value-based fees. We'll teach you that principle. When you're hiring, what are you looking for? I really get into the 3 circles. If you're developing a training, if you have a place that you're trying to train these coaches, do you have a system in place? So part of your training. And then retention, how do you keep everybody happy? And that's the challenge. And, what are you going to charge your clients? I think we mentioned that just a minute ago. But, I see a lot of people not charging enough for the value they have. And how do you set that up? Do you do packages or single sessions? We're really a believer of single sessions because, again, you don't want to discount your services. In full or part-time status, it depends on what the person's doing, but I think this is definitely going to be a full-time career and into a calling for many people if they want that to be. But the business side of it will be something we can show you step by step, how to market yourself. And this is the challenge we look at from a customer service standpoint. The first meeting we had with some of our new coaches recently was on the Ritz-Carlton of customer service. You walk into a hotel room. You want that hotel room to be clean. You want the soap to be there, the toilet paper, all the things you want the TV to work. And then the requested, what's that mean? That means the client's asking you for something. Very rarely, if you take care of number 1, which is expected, you'll be busy. And then you move into requested, and the suggested is what you're suggested for the client. That's really out of the ordinary. Chris, I would highly recommend you doing this. And then the 4th one is the delight factor, which you're really going over above board. But we'll get into customer service because if you can follow these principles, you can really create a business that really, really will be, you won't need to do a lot of marketing. It will market itself. So as we wrap this up, I really want to just kind of throw some questions out to you. We just have a couple more minutes. But I guess why I'm so excited about this program is that it's such a need. And I'm seeing such positive traction out there in the industry, not only health clubs, I'm seeing it in the health food stores, I'm seeing it in the family practitioner physicians, I'm seeing it in my seminars, the corporate world. People are starving for this information, and they don't want to go down that medication path anymore. People are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and we know that system doesn't work. So I think that's the future. I really believe it. If it's, this year is just kind of the beginning of really what I believe will be an amazing program and over time. And I've talked to some of the other presenters that are coming behind me, and we're really excited to create a consistent message on how to take this lifestyle health coaching to the next level. But I think my program will differentiate from anything else is that we will do lots of hands-on, and it won't be just theory we're talking about. We'll show you how to do it and how to practice it. So when you walk away at the end of the 3 days, you'll have a plan in place along with the products in place. You could actually start running with your program right away, including your marketing, including what you're charging, how to set up your system, and how to create a really, really successful business. So any questions out there, feel free to, I'm happy to stay on as long as the questions come on in.
Thank you, Chris. This is Sarah. I have Jeff Davis in the audience that has his hand raised, so I'm going to unmute him so he can ask his question.
Okay. Hi, Jeff.
Go ahead. Maybe not. Maybe he stepped away. So the next question that we have is, what certifications are required to successfully run a fitness coaching business? From Leroy Davis.
Hi, Leroy. One of the things we recommend is getting some national certification. I have American College of Sports Medicine as an exercise specialist. It doesn't really do much for coaching. It's more working in a hospital or in an exercise lab, but I really like the certification because of the learning about medications and EKGs and things like that. I also recommend we do the ACE certification, American Council on Exercise. So any of the national certification, National Academy of Sports Medicine. So there's lots of good options out there. But what we recommend for our coaching program is one of the national certifications, and then from there we train them. And that's really what you're going to be getting right now. You're getting what we do in 6 weeks. So we take all of our trainers, we just want them to be CPR certified, first aid certified, and then they need some kind of national certification for your college degree. And then we train them after that, and generally our training program lasts about 6 weeks. So we run them through everything you're going to be run through in 3 days.
Great. The next question is Chris Hamersa. The question is, what is a good brand of cod liver oil?
I think there's many good brands out there. We really like Carlsons. Carlsons is one of the oldest fish oil companies in the United States. It's in Buffalo Grove, Illinois, and actually we've seen their facilities, and they do independent testing. So really, when you're looking at a cod liver oil or any of your fish oil, most fish oil in the United States is anchovies and sardines. That's why we're really more of a fan of cod liver oil, because of the cod itself, and it's sustainable, and it has higher in vitamin D3. And then the other thing, the other one we recommend is Nordic Naturals, which is another very large, but there's many out there. You just want to find an independently tested fish oil or cod liver oil. But Carlson's is the one we really promote.
Okay. Next question is, I have a lot of friends that are fat and lazy and envy me because I am lean and look young, but can't convince them to do life like I do. How can I convince them to do things right?
Well, I think the two things is that, one of the things I do in my seminars right away, I talk about 3 principles of change. The first thing is, what do people want? And if you really ask most people, they all want to be healthy and fit and look good. I mean, why do people go to the gym in the first place? I really believe it's not just because they want to be healthy, it's they want to look good. So I think there's nobody out there. I mean, if that was the case, why do women put on makeup and guys get their haircuts and blah, blah, blah? I mean, so everybody gets that. So they want that. The second thing is let them understand that we can start taking baby steps. Maybe they're just weaning themselves off their diet sodas, or maybe they're doing exercise maybe for 15 minutes a couple times a week, or maybe they're taking one of the superfoods. So you got to let people slowly. I mean, they look at you, Chris, and it's I don't have all the time that you might have, or I don't have the passion that you have, or the list will come up of why they can't do it. Let them understand that, hey, you know what, I can build a habit slowly. I can do one thing at a time, and that one step will lead to another. And then if you really get them, they got to find a reason. I mean, everybody's got a why, and then once you find their why, that's going to be their driver. So it could be training for their first 5K. It could be climbing, challenge them to climb the, Grand Canyon, or maybe they're just going to a class reunion. But everybody's got their whys out there. Maybe they have young kids that they really want to promote, a healthy lifestyle to their young kids. They want to be the leaders. So once you start doing that, then we'll spend a lot of time on that change, because that's what's going on out there. People really don't think that health and wellness and fitness is for them. And I think it's sometimes our fault that we've made it so difficult and so challenging that you don't have to do everything overnight. So I guess that, and we'll help you learn that, because that's one of the things I've really got traction in my seminars, is people like my approach. They like it that, I can put my foot in the water, and then we get an email, and this guy's lost 40 pounds and gotten off 4 of his medications, and then he's told his family, and it just starts to build up, speed and momentum. So I know it's a challenge out there, but it's definitely something that more and more people can learn.
Excellent. We have quite a few questions about how many days the course is offered and what the price is, and what they will become after they take the 4 courses in sequential order for the Lifestyle Health Coaching certification. Do you want me to answer those?
Sure.
So the course is $1,500 per module. It's a 4-course certification. At the end of your 4 courses, you will be a certified health style coach through the University of South Florida. There was a couple questions about online courses. We have not decided yet to put the course online, but that is a possibility in the future. Right now we are just running the modules live. And someone else asked, when the next course will be offered if they can't make it to July. Lifestyle will be offered in Tampa, Florida, October 12th through the 14th. And then for all of our West Coast physicians, the course will be offered in Las Vegas at the Las Vegas Convention, December 13th through the 15th. Back to one other person asked, Chris, do you like orthomolecular products?
I do. Yeah, I do. I think the big thing, though, when you look at any of the products out there, I'm going to really go with the basics at the beginning, and that would be just basically live foods. So as much as I can do the superfoods, but then again, then you start to educate people and, okay, what's their next need, or what will they do? So it's not only what we think is the best for them, but also what they actually will do. So many times taking in a pill form, I think more and more people like that because it's easy, but at the same time, some of the other stuff's not that hard. Like taking a shot of cod liver oil. It's a simple, easy to do versus taking multiple gel tablets. One of the things I want to mention too about the certification, I would highly recommend forget about the online. You need to do in person, because I see so many online things. You can't teach certain things online, which is really touching the people, showing them body alignment, really tasting, touching, feeling what's going on. So if this is something you really want to do as a career, there's a lot of great information you can learn online, but I think some of the stuff you definitely need to do in person.
I agree. And I don't want there to be any confusion. I just saw another question. In order to get the certification, you do need to participate in all 4 modules that are being offered. So you would take Module A, which is 3 days, Module B, 3 days, Module C, 3 days, and Module D. And after completion of Module D, then you will receive the certification from the University of South Florida. Next question is International Fitness Association a recognized association?
I think, if you really ask about certifications, there's 270 of them out there, so there's a whole boatload of them. I like to really research and really understand what the learning piece is. I think there's value in almost every certification, so I wouldn't really want to say there's one best one out there. But what I've learned over the years is that, one area will cover one area in detail. I think one of the things we're excited about this program, it's not only, hands-on, but you're going to get into deep dive stuff that you're not getting any certification. I don't know if any certifications out there right now are really going to get into medications and, things that are really, what you're really going to come in contact with your clients. I mean, when they get on a beta blocker or a stat medication or, what do you do with these people? And then how do you work with the physicians? What questions do you want them to talk about and ask the physician? And the physician feels comfortable with the coach. Boy, you got a home run here. So I think that's the future right there. And look at really what you want to do long term. I think that's the key I would look at is I just got a naturopathic certification a couple years ago just because I wanted to have that. And it was live. It was actually 10-day certification where you actually had to go there and experience it. So that's the future out there. But I think that's what I'm excited about this lifestyle health coaching is I know the presenters and what they're going to be presenting, and we're all pretty much on board exactly our philosophies, which is not the norm, I think, sometimes out there. So, but there's not just one certification I would recommend. If it's a national certification and it looks the information looks great for you, there's nothing wrong with getting certifications on a regular basis.
Great. The next question is, what about special population clients who need service in the home pool, home gym, etc.? Does lifestyle health coaching work in the home on site?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the whole thing on what we're going to be teaching is progressions. It doesn't matter if you've had both hips replaced, knee replacement, ankle fused, problems with your back, neck, fibromyalgia, cardiovascular disease, COPD. The challenge is where to get people to start, and then not only what are they going to start with, but what are they willing to do? My dad had COPD, and one of the things I helped him learn how to do is laying on the foam roller. And I didn't have him doing his ITV band or piriformis. I just had him laying on it, very passive. And by laying on the foam roller, it expanded his rib cage and allowed him to breathe more. And he could use his diaphragm a little bit better. and it really relieved his COPD, and he would do it multiple times a day. So with your special populations, you really got to go to what are they doing, whether they're using water. But we don't live in water, so again, a lot of the water therapy is fantastic, but eventually you have to bring them on land, and then you can kind of dovetail that with the water. So we'll definitely be addressing the the special population groups, and then what strategies and what steps, what progressions you can take for those folks.
Okay, excellent. Next question is, what I find is people are emotionally attached to food. How do you overcome this?
Well, I think some of the questions really gets down to, how uncomfortable are people? You got to get, okay, I got an issue with food. Well, really, we got to look at, you got to get into the stress piece. Why are people attached to food? When you think about stress itself, people say I'm an emotional eater. Well, a big part of it I look at is, what's your environment like? And how do you set that up? Or help them understand if their hormones are out of whack, or the ghrelin or leptin, or some of the hormones that make them overeat. Sometimes they don't have no clue. And then eventually, some of the people we've worked with, they've been attached to food their entire life, and you start taking them down a different path, and no longer are they attached to the food like they used to. So, yeah, that psychological piece is really, really powerful, but so is the physiological. And I think sometimes if you can educate them on some real basic concepts, many people are deficient in certain minerals. I mean, many people are deficient in magnesium, and many people are deficient in omega-3 fats, which most of the population is, and if they are, they're going to have problems with depression and things like that, so which leads into emotional eating, and the list goes on. So, and energy activation is a big part of it. If you're teaching people how to eat healthier or exercise, you got to talk about energy activation, and we'll get into that where, if you make it too hard for people, they don't want to do that. So, yeah, the emotional piece of eating is, we saw that statistic earlier, obesity is climbing like crazy, and we have to kind of cut it off, and we have to educate people a little bit more about it. But we will definitely be addressing all the things that have to do with weight, what the science is, what the emotional piece is, and we'll have case studies. We'll discuss and help the audience understand, if you had this problem, what steps would you take, what strategies you would take, so you're not kind of like guessing at this stuff. I've been doing this for 30 years, over 17,000 training sessions as to date. I've ran into them all, and again, it's you just got to go slowly and help people because they want to be helped most of the time.
Next question is, what is your most effective strategy on how to jump into people's belief to move them into action?
Well, the first question is you got to start asking them better questions. So I have a new book I'm writing right now, and the new book's all about asking better questions. If somebody comes to me and they say, hey, I got this problem. I'm having trouble sleeping, or I have problems with my hormones, or you just got to start asking good questions. And then people love to talk about themselves. And if you get something that they're excited about, generally they want to keep going in that direction. And if you can get them excited about that, and you really set short-term goals and easy strategies to take, easy steps, I found people because the key on all this is you got to build habits. And how do you do that? Most people have lost weight before. It's not sustainable. And one of the things I'm going to teach in this lifestyle health coaching program, the key is sustainability. Nobody wants to be on a diet. Nobody wants to count calories. Nobody wants to get on a treadmill and count the minutes. They just really want to create habits that are sustainable and enjoyable to make their life better. So we will definitely, again, address that emotional, the mental side of creating habits.
Okay. Next question is, how is this program compared to the one offered by the Institute for Integrative Nutrition?
Well, a big thing, I think, if you looked at our program, is this is not just nutrition. I think more and more people, if I come in, if I said one thing I'm talking to more people about or educate them, is this whole rest and rejuvenation or lack of it. Because stress is such a huge thing, and people are so burned out, and understanding that cortisol and all the hormones that are being overstimulated and the healing hormones are not being stimulated. One of the things you'll learn in the health coaching program that I'll be presenting is really on day 2, we'll put in the whole, steroidal hormone track and understand how powerful stress is. And if you don't have those strategies in place, you can exercise till the cows come home or eat, seaweed and wheatgrass all day long, and you're not going to get the results you want. So it's not just one thing, it's a balance. And I think that's what people are starving with right now, is the balance of rest, rejuvenation, quality nutrition, and movement. And so that's what you'll learn differently than the other certification, which is probably going to be going to be more focused, on the nutrition side. And we'll definitely get into nutrition very deep, not only in my seminar, but in the one following mine in October. But I think the big thing I'll be pointing out is the business side of it, the balance of the 3 components, to eat, rest, and move, and looking at how you can make a living with this stuff. So that would be probably the biggest difference.
Okay, perfect. The next question is, as a health coach, can clients offset or supplement the costs associated with consultations with their insurance?
Well, I think the insurance piece is definitely coming. I mean, if you can get, working with a physician, I think you're going to see more in this. We've had reimbursements over the years, way back in the middle 90s. You just have to get into the right, right situation with the doctors writing that script. But even with that being said, I think I'm going to set up a program that pretty much is affordable for everybody. If really people value their health, most people can afford, a lifestyle health coaching session once a month. And so how do we set up the business that you're not seeing somebody 3 times a week, which is many of the times the standard model? So one of the things we teach them is, how do you start out with a new client, and then how do you keep a client continually in the system that makes it affordable and effective for not only you but also for your client. So I think that's the thing. But yeah, there's going to be changes in, Dr. Smith and I have talked a great deal about this, that's the future. It's going to happen, but maybe not in the next little bit. But more and more people are aware of this. They're just now going to, if I could get a person off their blood pressure medication or their statin medications, what would that be worth to them? And when you start looking at that, they'll be able to afford it. I mean, people are going to the movie theaters every day and eating out to dinner. They just wish not to choose, coming at it. So that's part of the challenge, is how do you create that service and that result and that value.
The next question is, have you heard of the Pathway Fit test?
I have not.
And the next question, do you have a list of certified providers on your website? And what is the address?
Our website's just www.ontargetliving.com. And you can see our coaches on there. You can see what our business is.
Okay. And I just had a couple more questions about the cost and the time of year that we're offering this event. The cost of the course is $1,500 per module. We are offering it in July in Tampa, October, Tampa, and then December in Las Vegas. The course does not need to be taken in sequential order, so if you cannot make the July event, you can attend October or Las Vegas. Had a few more questions that just came in. With the baby boomers aging, is this designed for a certain demographic?
No, not necessarily. I think you're going to see the demographics more for the health coaches, in the group that's probably 40 to 50 on up. But I'm seeing a lot of problems with obesity and type 2 diabetes, depression, in very young ages. And so a lot of it has to do with working with the entire family, because it's really how do you get the family on board with the whole deal. So I think the demographics are going to be a little bit more weighted for the 50, the boomers, but the boomers want to have healthy kids. Energy drinks are the fastest growing beverage on the planet today, and we're not having a clue what these things are doing, especially in the next few years, to making our health so bad. So I think that's the demographics, but coming out of this, you'll be able to work with anybody, professional athletes to, the most deconditioned special population.
Okay. Next question, does the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine's vegetarian diet fit into the lifestyle fitness coaching work?
Absolutely. I mean, the key is the key is, for example, if I come into one of my seminars and say, okay, here's the deal. Everybody's got to eat raw, no chocolate, no alcohol, blah blah blah. I mean, people are going to hit the door as fast as they came in. So the key on all this stuff is how do you get people to slowly understand where they're at, and then how they go to the next step. The key in all this stuff is performance, and you got to go at where everybody's at. So that's the challenging piece. If somebody's complete vegan, well, the challenge is, are they, getting enough of the nutrients they need in their body? And so if they're not, obviously they're not doing cod liver oil, but are they doing chia and flax, and are they doing spirulina chlorella and algae and wheatgrass? And so the challenge on everybody is understanding the basic principles, and then how you can actually enhance those, whatever their beliefs are.
Okay. So a few more questions that came in. You only named 3 courses. Where, when is the 4th one? 4th one will be in 2013. The schedule is in the process of being finalized right now. So we'll announce that online and send out, email blast announcement about where the lifestyle module D is taking place. But C is being offered in Las Vegas in December, and then module D will be offered in 2013. We're still finalizing the schedule. And one other question that someone asked is, who can attend this course? And we've opened the course up to, everyone from MDs, DOs, nurses, physical trainers, PAs, LPNs, physical acupuncturists, anyone really with a science degree, an undergraduate science degree, and they're up. So this course, like Chris said, is very beneficial for so many people. They can attend the course and start instituting it in their existing practice or the practice that they work for, whatever business model they have set up. And I think that is all the questions that we had. So Chris, I just want to thank you so much for taking out time of your busy schedule to do this webinar for us. I wanted to remind everyone that the webinar will be recorded, and we will send out the link to everyone tomorrow evening so they can listen to it again and share with their colleagues. Thank you, Chris. Very wonderful webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.